Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. We are live right now on Rumble and YouTube as well as on Twitch today. We're adding that into the mix. Everybody, we have a lot to talk about today. We have heard for years now about how the infamous J6 pipe bomber was a far-right, white, nationalist Trump voter who was attempting to overthrow the United States federal government. This was beaten into our heads for years by the Democrats and the far-left media. But, as it would turn out, ladies and gentlemen, today, we now know for an absolute fact that the J6 pipe bomber was actually, as a matter of fact, an African-American far-left radical, and that Joe Biden's FBI, under the Biden administration's leadership, they sat on the evidence of this for 4 years, really playing coverage for him. And so we are going to break down that entire dynamic. There is a lot to talk about there. Now, today also, President Trump scored an absolutely massive legal victory in the United States Supreme Court. The Democrats right now are collectively losing their minds. They are really not so happy about this Supreme Court decision. And the reason why is because it's going to have an absolutely massive impact in the upcoming midterms. We are 10, maybe 11 months away, 10 and a half months away from midterms. And then on top of that, Trump's DOJ, the Department of Justice, is now engaging in an absolutely massive nationwide legal battle, suing 14 individual far-left blue states in an attempt to shut down all of the Democrats' voter fraud. Voter fraud, remember, we've been told for a long time that voter fraud doesn't exist. Well, that's what these 14 individual lawsuits are about. And by the way, already several of these far-left Democrat-run blue states are already surrendering to the Trump administration's demands. So, folks, like I said, we have a lot to talk about today. If you could, real quick, do me a favor. Go ahead and drop a follow. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe. Follow here, subscribe, like, do it all. It helps with the algorithm. It really does help a lot. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let's get into the show. I think probably the best place to start is, as they say, the very beginning. This is what we heard from Pam Bondi as it relates to the J6 pipe bomber development earlier today. Let's get into it.
Early this morning, Brian Cole Jr. was arrested and charged with placing the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC on January 5th, 2021. He has been charged with violating 18 U.S.C. 844, which is use of an explosive device. This investigation is ongoing. As we speak, search warrants are being executed, and there could be more charges to come. I'm going to let our U.S. attorney discuss that shortly. This was the work of multiple agencies working together. This morning's operation was carried out safely and successfully.
So, ladies and gentlemen, they got him. And now we know exactly who this is. This is Brian Cole Jr. This is the man that they have detained, 30 years old. It's crazy. He's just been running around for the last 4 years. Here he is, different pictures. Looks like he's actually gained some weight. Maybe he's been so stressed out over the last 4 years that he's been stress eating. Looks like he's packed on the pounds a little bit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Brian Cole Jr., the 30-year-old Virginia man arrested earlier today for placing pipe bombs outside of the DNC and RNC headquarters on January 5th, 2021, ran statewide bail bonds, a company, with his father, get this, which specialized in freeing illegal aliens from ICE custody, and sued the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security in 2019 during his first term in the White House over alleged discriminatory practices, losing the case on November 10th, 2020, just a couple weeks before he would then go on to carry out these attempted pipe bombing attacks. So Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we were all taught for years. Really, this has been the ongoing narrative for the last 4.5 years, is that the J6 pipe bomber, don't ask how, we're not going to tell you, but just trust us. The J6 pipe bomber, he was a far right-wing, radical, extremist, domestic terrorist, white supremacist, Trump voter. He was placing these pipe bombs because Trump lost the election. He was trying to overthrow the federal government or whatever. And this was the narrative that we all had to hear for years, for almost half a decade, from the left-wing media and from the Democrats, the Democrat establishment. Well. What do we have here? Now, they carried out a warrant on this individual's house. Take a look earlier today.
A very heavy police presence at the home of the suspect they have identified in the D.C. pipe bomb probe. So this is a live look
nice
from
house.
The Fox 5 D.C. helicopter. As you see in a cul-de-sac, the FBI now at the home of this suspect. And we were learning more earlier as we were hearing from the FBI after they announced that they made an arrest in the nearly 5-year-old investigation into who placed pipe bombs in Washington, D.C. before the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. This arrest marks the first time investigators have settled on a suspect in an act that has had a long investigation by law enforcement and also led to some conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, today, we are actually going to talk about some of those conspiracy theories because, like I said in the intro of today's broadcast, is that Joe Biden's FBI, they actually just sat on the evidence. There has been no new evidence brought forth. It's evidence that they already had. They had the entire time, and we're going to break that down here in a minute. They just sat on it, doing nothing. They just let this guy, they didn't really care. They didn't really care to follow the case of the pipe bomber. I think that's a pretty important case. And so now we actually are starting to get some answers. Pam Bondi, our current attorney general, goes on to say,
this cold case languished for 4 years until Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino came to the FBI. The FBI, along with U.S. Attorney Pirro and all of our prosecutors, have worked tirelessly for months, sifting through evidence that had been sitting at the FBI with the Biden administration for 4 long years.
It's the same evidence. There's no new evidence. They've just been sitting on it this entire time.
Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness. Just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work, working as a team, along with ATF, Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and of course, the FBI. Now,
speaking of FBI, as we sort of peel back the layers with this entire process, we hear from FBI Director Kash Patel. He chimed in. They had a whole press conference earlier this morning. We'll take a listen to what he had to say.
When you attack American citizens, when you attack our institutions of legislation, when you attack our nation's capital, you attack the very being of our way of life. And this FBI and this Department of Justice stand here to tell you that we will always refute it and combat it. We will provide the safest country the nation has ever seen under President Trump's leadership here. And that's what we did here today with great resolve on a case of massive public importance, as it should be. An individual who is now alleged to have placed multiple explosive devices to blow up multiple people and multiple officials, innocent civilians, is now arrested thanks to the brave men and women of the FBI and the interagency. I want to take a moment to thank the Metropolitan Police Department, the United States Capitol Police, our brave prosecutors, the Department of Justice, and our leader, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro, whose relentless work on this case made this possible. As the Attorney General said, we did not discover any new information. What we did, an investigation spearheaded by the deputy director and the ADIC of our Washington field office, brought in a new team of investigators and experts, re-examined every piece of evidence, sifted through all the data something that the prior administration refused and failed to do. As a result of that, we generated numerous investigative leads, executed multiple legal process with our U.S. attorney partners, and came to this conclusion today. And that is why we were able to safely secure this individual into custody. Remember, we are dealing with an individual who is alleged to have made bombs. We cannot do this sort of takedown in haste because it endangers the lives of law enforcement. And this FBI will never allow the lives of law enforcement and our prosecutors to be put in jeopardy.
So, as he just said, it's the same evidence. They haven't found any new evidence. It's the same evidence. It's the same evidence, all the same information that the Joe Biden administration and Joe Biden's FBI had when Joe Biden was in the White House. What they did do is fire some of the old people, or at least pull them off the case inside the FBI, and then put some new people on the case. They tasked some of Trump's guys, these new Trump FBI members of the FBI, put them on the case, and within a couple months, hasn't even been a year, boom, now we've got the guy. And once again, the Biden administration, they just sat on their hands doing nothing. And I'll tell you the reason why this is so important is because, listen, the left is they're very aggressive. The far left, they are incredibly aggressive about, framing Trump and all of his supporters as being white supremacist, far right, Nazi, fascist, threats to democracy. And they will just fabricate information and push fake news, bullcrap, in order to try to push that agenda. And this is one of the most prominent narratives that they have been running with for years, for about 5 years now, that, well, the J6 pipe bomber, he was a disgruntled Trump voter. He was mad that the election was stolen from Trump. He tried to help Trump overthrow the government, carry out an insurrection. And so he's a white supremacist Trump voter who put a bunch of pipe bombs all over Washington, D.C., outside the DNC and the RNC headquarters. Well, once again, it was actually a disgruntled far-left radical who had issue with Trump because Trump was trying to shut down illegal immigration. And it was actually him that placed these bombs. And on top of that, he was an African-American man. And, now we're actually starting to see some of these arrests. And already, people can't help themselves. People say, we need to see arrests. We need arrests. And then when we actually do finally get an arrest, they say, well, this is fake news. There's a conspiracy. I don't believe it. It's like, really? You can't just take the W. You can't just take the victory. We are finally being given an arrest. We actually have an arrest. It's the same evidence we've always had. The case seems to be pretty solid. We've got the guy walking on video. They traced all his footsteps, and we say, oh, well, it's actually, there's something more going on. You can't just take the victory, really. We got to take the win. And it is because this is a slam dunk. We have shut the door on this far left, anti-white, anti-Trump, anti-conservative narrative. And it's a good thing. Now, Dan Bongino comes out, and he actually clarifies that the evidence here is forensic. We have forensic evidence linking this guy.
Yeah, sure. I was smiling at you because I certainly remember the moment. Darren remembers it too. He said, are you sitting down? He called me on the phone. I said, oh boy, why? Is this bad news? And he said, I think we got him. What exactly that tip was, we're going to have to pass on that for right now while obviously we're in the prologue of a long book. This is just the beginning. This is not the end of the investigation, as you all well know, having reported on these for a long time. There's interviews to be conducted. The search warrant processing scene is not even done. So we're at the early stages, so that's the only reason I hesitate to tell you what the exact tip was. But yes, that was absolutely the moment, and it was due to the diligent and incredible work of a team in the Washington field office that came in and just scoured through this over and over and over and over again.
In general, was it forensic? Was it a phone call? Was it something about a vehicle?
I'd rather, we'll just leave it generally, forensic evidence. Yeah, it's fair enough to say.
Okay.
Excuse me?
How long ago that was?
I'd rather not say because of the ongoing interview process, and I don't want to. Yeah.
So this is coming from Dan Bongino. We have forensic evidence, like physical evidence linking this guy to the pipe bombing. Now, I think this is where, okay, we know that this is the guy. This is where I think it is fitting to start asking some follow-up questions. And we're going to do that right now. Was this individual a lone wolf? Did he do this on his own? Who taught him how to make pipe bombs? I don't know. Maybe you could Google it. We've seen photos of the bombs. The bombs, allegedly, I'm not a member of the CIA. I guess people say that the pipe bombs that he created are very similar in fashion or style to CIA training bombs, where they're teaching CIA agents how to make bombs or dismantle, that these J6 pipe bombs are very similar to those ones. I don't know all the details of that. Maybe nobody does. This is where I think we need to go. We know the guy. We know this is him. We've got the forensic evidence. Now we need to know, did he work with anyone else? So this is the next step. Now we subpoena his entire internet history. Now we subpoena his phone logs, his text messages, his emails, everything. I want to know every single person that this guy spoke to leading up to the attack or the attempted attack on January 6th, January 5th, actually. And really also since then, it's been 4.5, almost 5 years. Who has he been talking to since then? Subpoena all of that. Get a hold and scour through all of that. That's of the utmost importance. Was he talking to, I don't know, members of Joe Biden's FBI or Joe Biden's CIA? Because we know that Joe Biden's FBI covered this up. We know that they sat on their hands and just let this guy off the hook. So was he actually working with somebody inside of Joe Biden's FBI or Joe Biden's CIA? Was he, I don't know, texting Nancy Pelosi? I don't know. Now, Dan Bongino, what he just said is we have the forensic evidence. This is the beginning of the investigation. There's more information to come. But they had enough evidence to get a warrant. They raided his house, and now he's under arrest. He's in custody right now. So, this is step one. We're off to a good start. Now we need more information. FBI Director Kash Patel just revealed that the Biden FBI will be exposed in court for covering up the January 6th pipe bomber. Now we're getting a little bit more exciting here.
Will there ever be a look back on the way, perhaps your predecessors or other people in the FBI handle this to question those methods and motives? Again, the fact that it disappeared, from the news basically the second January 6th happened and was never brought back up again, even in the months following. It seems odd. And I mean, it seems like something that people would want answers to. Will there be a review process on how this was conducted differently, how you guys could do this, 4 years later and in, 8 or 9 months, actually come up with a suspect versus the prior administration having 4 years, a more immediate timeline, being able to go right into it, having the immediacy of that, or, even the fact that they just didn't care, doesn't that say so much about the weaponization of justice in America today?
Absolutely. And I think you're going to see it on parallel tracks. What you're going to see is as this case presents itself in court, you're going to see where we were able to collect the evidence and make the case against this suspect. And then common sense journalism and investigators are going to be able to look at it and say, why did these people do X, Y, and Z 4 or 5 years ago? That's going to make itself self-apparent. But what we're doing at this FBI is also we have replaced this entire leadership cadre. We have pushed out 1,000 agents into the field. There's a reason this FBI has 25,000 violent offenders arrested this year alone. That's twice as many as last year. There's a reason that this FBI is going to deliver President Trump the lowest murder rate in modern history by double digits. There is a reason this FBI is out there crushing fentanyl, destroying narco traffickers, and making sure the homeland is safe and preventing spies from infiltrating our homeland and our way of life. That's what happens when you change leadership from the prior administration FBI who wanted to weaponize and politicize law enforcement to us, President Trump and the Attorney General, who want to just deliver law enforcement on every single front. And that's what we're doing. So you're going to see it in both lanes.
So they are doing a whole investigatory retrospective. Who was involved in this? Who did this guy talk to? They're going to get the logs. They're going to figure that out. Who internally just like didn't do anything? Who knew about this? Who sat on their hands? Who internally turned a blind eye to this? Who made that decision? Now, there is also something worth saying here that I know is maybe going to upset some people. Not everything is always a conspiracy. Sometimes lone actors exist. Now, real quick, what is the definition of conspiracy? A definition of a conspiracy is two or more people working together for some end goal. I am in a conspiracy with my wife to raise healthy, productive, respectful children. I am conspiring with my wife to do that. That is a conspiracy. It's two or more people working together to accomplish something. So we might have a conspiracy case here where somebody did work with this individual, where they were trading text messages or somebody paid him. I don't know. Who the hell knows? They're just starting to peel back the layers. It is also possible that this guy was just a lone actor, that he was on his own. That's also a possibility. But this, lack of knowing right now, this is what warrants the investigation. Look into it. And I think we're all saying that right now. Look into it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is kind of the introductory to all of this J6 news right now. This pipe bomber, they've got a name. He's been arrested. The investigation is ongoing. Okay. All right. That's a good step. This is the first step in this direction that we have had in almost 5 years. Great. Now, like I said, there's another big story that's really just hit the press like probably 90 minutes ago. That has every single Democrat in the country and every single member of the far left completely melting down right this very moment. The left-wing media is completely losing their minds right this very moment. And that story is this. It is President Trump's massive Supreme Court victory. Massive victory in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has decided to uphold Texas state's 2026 congressional redistricting map in a dominant 6-3 ruling. Wow, I wonder who are the three Supreme Court justices who voted no. I'm going to guess boom. I'm going to guess boom. And I'm going to guess boom. Have you noticed? It's always these three. It's kind of strange on the Supreme Court when you have the same liberal left-wing justices every single time and time again, ruling against Trump. It's like, really, are you properly interpreting the U.S. Constitution, or are you wiping your behind with the U.S. Constitution in an attempt to undermine the Trump administration? Because it's literally every single Supreme Court ruling. It's these three every single time that are saying, no, we actually really don't care what the Constitution says, as long as we can try to undermine the Trump administration. That's really all that matters to us. So no surprise, 6-3 ruling. This means going into midterms about 10 and a half, 11 months from now. Yeah, something like that. The Republicans have by default picked up 5 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. And also the Democrats have lost 5 seats. Keep in mind, when one party gains, another party loses. So it's not a 5-point margin, it's a 10-point margin, because it's +5 here and -5 there. That's a 10-point gap. That's massive. Now, one of these Democrat congressional House representatives from the state of Texas that has just lost her seat in the House is everybody's favorite Democrat politician, Democrat House rep. Her name is the illustrious, the incompetent Representative Jasmine Crockett. She's got another 11 months in the House, and then her seat is bye-bye. Thanks to this redistricting, it is being given to a Republican. And that's just the way this works. Now, by the way, the way really that this works, all the Texas state Republicans have decided to do, the Texas state legislature, what they have done is they've overturned all of the Democrats' racial gerrymandering. For the last 60 years following 1965, it all kind of went downhill in 1965. A lot of things changed in 1965, but The Democrats, since then, they have been racially gerrymandering voting districts across the country. It's been bad in Texas. It was bad in Illinois specifically. But pretty much what they've been doing is drawing voting district lines in accordance with where groups of minorities are living. Black neighborhood, black neighborhood, black neighborhood. Okay, we're going to draw our district lines around as many blacks or brown people as we possibly can. We're going to exclude as many non-minority white people. And this way, by this methodology, we're going to artificially increase our representation in the House by jamming as many black and brown people into voting districts as possible. Well, one such black and brown person that has been sort of arbitrarily given a seat in the House here is Jasmine Crockett. It's over. She should start maybe filling out McDonald's applications. I don't know where else she could get a job. Maybe nowhere. Maybe she's not qualified to work at McDonald's. I don't know. But she most certainly is not qualified to work in the House. So goodbye. Who knows? She might go try to run in some other district in Texas, or maybe she moves states and tries to go get a House seat in a different state. We see this happen. This has happened. But things are not looking good for her. Now, let's do sort of a comprehensive recap of this entire redistricting battle that is going on across the entire country so far. I want to put everything into context. This is where we currently stand. California +5 Democrats, Utah +1 Democrats, Texas +5 Republicans, Missouri +1 for the Republicans, Ohio +2 Republicans, North Carolina +1 for the Republicans. So, folks, there's been a lot of redistricting. Really, the Republicans are trying to get rid of all of this racial gerrymandering. They're trying to normalize things and remove the racism out of these districts. The Democrats are not happy about it. So about 2 months ago in California, they passed Proposition 50. Check this out. California has about 40 million people living in it. 40 million people. About 40% of those 40 million people are Republicans. If you can even believe that, 40% of Republicans or so, 40% of Californians are Republican. If you can even believe that. Guess how many congressional House seats the Californian Republicans have now? The answer is 0. The answer is 0. 0. In the entire state. We're talking 18 million Republicans, 17 million Republicans in California. They have 0 congressional House representation now because of what Gavin Newsom and his administration have done. Proposition 50. Now, if you're a Republican living in California, pretty much you're just screwed. And so this is where things currently stand. We have now, by nature of this Supreme Court ruling earlier today, the Republicans have solidified they've locked in +5 in Texas. So here's where we are. Right now, the Republicans are up 9 and the Democrats are up 6. So the Republicans in total are up 3. And we haven't even gotten to midterms yet. Now we also hear from the great state of, everybody look right there. Give me a 1 in the live chat, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, if you live in the great state of Florida. We have also heard, we've gotten a concrete confirmation from Florida State Governor Ron DeSantis. We've heard from him that he is actually going to convene a special session in the Florida State Legislature, and they are going to redistrict their state, removing racially gerrymandered voting districts, at which point this will go into effect before midterms, like the rest of these here up on the screen. The Republicans are going to get another 4, maybe 5 seats in the House by nature of Florida doing what Texas has just done. Another 4 or 5. So, excuse me, things are looking good. We're not even at midterms yet. People aren't even voting yet. But just by nature of redistricting, by nature of getting rid of these racial gerrymandered voting districts, things are already looking good for the Republicans. Now, there's another sort of little side story as it relates to all of this. We have heard from the U.S. Supreme Court. This is something they are working on right now. They are deliberating on the constitutional merits of racial gerrymandering across the country, period, at all, in accordance with the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The Supreme Court, they are expected. People are betting on this. They are expected at a rate of 9-1, 90% people, that's the betting odds at least, people are saying the Supreme Court is probably going to rule racial gerrymandering unconstitutional not just in one or two states, but across the entire country. Now, already some states like Texas and Florida, they are taking it upon themselves to undo this racial gerrymandering. But the Supreme Court, they're expected to issue this ruling by, at the latest, June of 2026, just 6 months from now, okay, before midterms. If the Supreme Court deems racial gerrymandering unconstitutional, you know what that means? The Democrats are set to lose 19 seats in the House. The Democrats will be minus 19, which means the Republicans will be plus 19. Depending on how the Supreme Court rules in the next 6 months, and it looks like they're probably going to rule sort of in favor of the Republicans here, we are about to see the complete and total implosion of the Democrat Party. They will, I don't want to say permanently, that's a little bit optimistic, but at least for a very long time, the Democrats will lose complete and total control of the House of Representatives. It's not looking good for the Democrats right now. It's not looking good now, and it's probably going to get even worse. So that is the big news we have. We talked about the Ron DeSantis thing. He's going to be doing the redistricting. Ron DeSantis has confirmed Florida's 2026 redistricting is coming. That would be plus 5 seats for the Democrats. I'm sorry, for the Republicans. And then we also have our third massive news story of the day. People have been saying, listen, the Trump administration needs to go harder on these far left sanctuary states, these blue states. They're harboring illegal aliens. They're aiding and abetting Antifa terrorists. They're engaging in voter fraud. Well, the Trump administration is actually taking the fight directly to these blue states. Take a look at this. Like I said, they are suing 14 blue states right now across the country to get them to turn over their voter rolls in order to put an end to voter fraud in these blue states. Take a look.
Big news in the last 24 hours, the most popular story on Just the News for most of the day today. You and the Justice Department sued 6 blue states for not turning over their voter rolls, so you can inspect them, make sure that they're not being, that they're not out of date, that dead people and non-citizens aren't making it onto the rolls. I have a funny feeling you're not done yet. Tell us where you are in the process.
Real quick, why is this happening? Why is the Trump administration, Trump's DOJ, suing these blue states to get a hold of their voter rolls? The question is, who might be on these voter rolls? Who might be voting in these blue states that are really fighting tooth and nail to not give the Trump DOJ the voter rolls? What might we find? What might we discover? We might discover dead people are voting in these blue states. We have dead people on the voter rolls. Your grandma, who's 137, or at least she would be if she were still alive. Your grandma might be voting for the Democrats in the state of California. You don't even know about it. That might be what we find. We might find illegal aliens, non-citizens that are on these blue state voter rolls. And also, this is something they do all the time. I'll make this personal. I just moved from Washington state. In fact, in the last 5 years, I moved from Oregon into Washington, and now I'm in Idaho. It would not surprise me, honestly, if I was still on the voter rolls in Oregon and Washington, and they were having me vote Democrat in both of those states. These states, they tend. So what happens is whenever somebody moves out of the state, I'm registered in Idaho now. I'm an Idaho resident voter, but what the hell? I'm sorry, my own broadcast just popped up on my cell phone. I started hearing myself. That was crazy. Anyway, I would not be surprised if in Oregon and Washington, they have retained me on their blue state voter rolls. This happens all the time. So non-state residents. So let's hear what they're doing about this.
Not even close. Well, John, I really appreciate you continuously allowing me to come on and update the public, because I know there's a lot of frustration out there about, why isn't someone doing something? I'll have you know that the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division has sent letters to all 50 states, and we have actually actively engaged with over half of them as follows. We're now in litigation with 14 states. 14. So the 6 yesterday included Maryland, Delaware, Rhode Island, New Mexico, Washington State, and Vermont. That adds to 8 we already had going. We are close to reaching resolution, voluntary cooperation with another dozen states. And I won't say which those are, but I think we will definitely let the public know when that happens. We have voluntary cooperation from 4 states, and we reached a settlement and consent decree with the state of North Carolina that agreed to clean up over 100,000 people on the voter rolls that were there improperly. And so that's over half the states, John, that we're actively engaged in either litigation or settlements with. And so it's really good news for America, and we're going to march through and make sure that we reach a resolution with everybody before we're done and get the evidence and the information that the Attorney General, on whose behalf I'm litigating, is entitled to.
Who's voting in these states now? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, we are already seeing something similar with these far left blue states refusing to turn over their SNAP enrollment logs. Who in the state of California or Oregon or Maine or Vermont or Washington or whatever, who is receiving SNAP? We've got people that are receiving they're double dipping in the SNAP benefits. They're receiving SNAP benefits for similarly from their dead grandma. You've got illegal aliens that are receiving SNAP and various other federal benefits. And so the Trump administration right now, also Trump's DOJ, is attempting to get these SNAP enrollment logs from these blue states. And what they have come out and said is that, listen, if you don't hand over the SNAP enrollment logs, California, Oregon, Washington, whatever, then we are going to rip away every single dollar of federal funding from your state. You're getting cut off. We are not going to keep on giving you money if you can't even tell us, like if you refuse to be audited, if you refuse to tell us how you are spending the money, then we're not going to be giving it to you. And so similar dynamic here at play with these voter rolls. Listen, if you refuse to comply with the federal government and, relinquish your voter rolls to the federal government, to the Department of Justice, then, hey, maybe you get cut off from the federal dollar as well. We need to start playing hardball with these people. The degree to which these far left, radically progressive blue states have become belligerent and delinquent is just absolutely insane. They've been acting with impunity, complete and total impunity for a very long time. It's time for a little bit of a reality check. It's time to check some of these states. And finally, that is what we are now starting to see from the Trump administration, from Trump's DOJ. It is time. Listen, these blue states, they need to get a little bit of, they need to get their comeuppance. Can I use that word? We need to give these blue states their comeuppance. They've been doing whatever they want, aiding and abetting illegal aliens, taking federal funding and then giving that to illegal aliens. They've been turning a blind eye to far left domestic terrorists like Antifa and otherwise. They've been doing nothing about foreign cartels like Tren de Aragua, all MS-13, all of them Latin Kings. I mean, God, look at California. It's just a hellhole. Listen, hey, if you're going to behave this way, if you're going to behave in this anti-American way, you might lose the federal funding. That's what we need to see. And so, speaking about really all of these foreign actors in the country and getting illegal aliens off the voter rolls, getting illegal aliens off of the SNAP federal benefit rolls, President Trump actually earlier today issued what I thought was an awesome statement on Truth Social. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to like this. In fact, we have 2 statements from President Trump. The first one, he must have woke up heated this morning. This morning, in regards to illegal aliens in the country, specifically Somalians, who he very clearly is not a fan of, President Trump said, "I'm dealing with the poisoning of America." The implication here, of course, is that illegal aliens, immigrants from the third world, Somalian immigrants, specifically in this case, that they are poisoning America. This is President Trump, the president of the United States of America, coming out point blank saying all of these damn third worlders, they are poisoning this country. And thank God, this is the type of rhetoric that we need to see. This is the type of rhetoric that we need to see. And then, just about an hour ago, maybe 90 minutes ago, we saw a similar post from President Trump. He actually reposted something that somebody else said. So this user on Twitter, Brendan Daly, he posted, "We have 2 options. Deport every single third world migrant, illegal alien, and America-hating visa holder, or surrender the nation the way the United Kingdom has surrendered their nation and watch our society collapse in the coming years. And so President Trump reposted this on his own Truth Social page. And I think I can probably pretty much speak for everybody here in the live audience today. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, pretty much this is true. Pretty much these are the two options we have. We can either stop the influx, the inflow of third world immigrants into the country. Now we have done that in large part. There are approximately 40 something third world countries, according to the Human Development Index, which is kind of how people gauge that term, third world these days. Trump has now shut down immigration from 19 of them. Personally, I would like to see that number double. Listen, there's 42 of them or whatever. Let's shut down immigration from all of them, not just 19. 19 is a good start. Okay. Let's shut down immigration from all 40 something of them. And then also, any of the immigrants from these third world countries that are already in the country, they're currently in our nation right now. Doesn't matter if they're legal or illegal. Let's get rid of them. Let's deport all of them. Let's revoke visas. Let's revoke work visas. Let's revoke travel visas. Let's revoke temporary protected status. Trump just did that. Trump just revoked the legal status of right around 3 million immigrants, a lot of Somalians, Afghanis, and otherwise from this list of 19 countries. So shut down immigration from all of them and start denaturalizing, deporting, taking away legal status, taking away temporary protected status, all of it, refugee asylum status. Get rid of it. Get them out of here. Deport all of them. That is very clearly what everybody wants to see. I think we all agree. When we talk about getting third world immigrants out of the United States of America, this is like crack cocaine for Trump voters. If you want to get Trump voters riled up and get us to turn out for midterms, in fact, if you can invert this, flip this around, I am worried that if Trump does not go hard enough on immigration here, that is what would causally lead to us losing midterms and maybe even the 2028 election. We got to see results. We need to see results. These people, we got to get them the hell out of the country. When we voted for Trump in 2024, the 2024 election, we did not vote for Trump for a couple deportations or slight deportations or selective deportations. We voted for Trump. We had the signs at the rallies. Why did we vote for Trump? Mass deportations. Mass, the word mass, massive mass deportations. That is why we voted for Trump, amongst other reasons, but we didn't vote for Trump for a handful of deportations or a couple deportations over here and a couple deportations over there. All of them need to go. Every single one of them, all of them. In fact, once we have deported the illegal ones, let's look at the legal ones. Let's talk about some of these people need to be denaturalized. Their temporary protected status, their travel visas, their student visas got to go. All of them have got to go. Mass deportations. So that is what we want to see right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say real fast, if you are new to the show, Twitch, Rumble, YouTube, everybody make sure to follow, like, subscribe. Reminder, thank you very much. We are here every single day at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Western. We are going to do something. I'm attempting a new little hardware technique or software technique rather, but you know what? It looks like it's not going to work. Okay, we're going to do super chats now here, folks. We have to do it the old school way. I thought that maybe I could use some new technology here, but my new technology did not work. So at this point, we're going to pull up super chats, everybody. And I want to take a look. I want to see what you folks in the live audience have to say about today's news. Today, honestly, some days there's not a whole lot going on. Today was a busy day. Today we had some big, massive news, frankly. So first off, let's take a look at super chat from Stephanie Kinsey. She says, thank you, Matt. Hey, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Welcome to the show. Good evening. Happy Thursday. Normally, Fridays are generally speaking all of the Fridays are always the most news-packed day. So I'm expecting a big day tomorrow. Stephanie, thank you very much. Q just dropped a massive $100 super chat. Q, hello. He says, enjoy, Matt, and your family have a very nice Christmas. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Some people say happy holidays. We say Merry Christmas. This is a Merry Christmas stream. In fact, let me run an idea. Do you guys think, should I put some Christmas lights up back there? I feel like I probably should. I've got a nice tree. I've got some trees back there. I should put some Christmas lights up there, don't you think? Okay, guys, by tomorrow's broadcast, I will put up some Christmas lights. Don't you even worry about it. Thank you, Q. Thank you very much. Patriots are in control, starting with the Q. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is Amy Elizabeth. She says, back again, you're my go-to for political news. As a veteran at this point, I am wondering why we fought just to give our country to illegals. Yeah, I mean, you can't help but kind of think that. It's like, what was the point of winning World War II and going to Vietnam and, I don't know, Operation Desert Storm or the Korean War and Afghanistan? Like, what was the point of all of this if we're just going to surrender over the country to a bunch of third world immigrants that don't speak English and aren't assimilating and are trying to tear the country apart and defrauding the federal government out of like billions of dollars? It's kind of like, what was the point of all of that? What was the point? What everybody says is, do you think those brave soldiers, those brave American soldiers on D-Day would have stepped off that boat and stormed the beach of Normandy? Do you think they would have done that if they could see that this country's overrun by third world immigrants in the year 2025? I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't have. If they had a crystal ball, they could see the way the country, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't have. It's hard. It's a hard sell. And by the way, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Amy Elizabeth, thank you very much. And thank you for your service also. Leon Smith, he says, all this happening, why ain't any of these people in prison right now? It's pissing me off. You know, we are at the point. We need arrests. We need arrests. Sort of the argument here that I have heard, at least, and it like semi makes sense, is that if we actually want to see all of these deep state operatives and far left subversives, these globalist freaks, all of this, if we want to actually take back the country, we need these people to be held accountable. But if we want to actually arrest them, we have to build out concrete, bulletproof criminal cases, and it takes time to do that. Now, I see a comment in the chat. It says, your wife is a recent immigrant. We men have to practice what we preach, or we won't be taken seriously. Oh, no. Just to be very clear, you can call me racist for saying this. I don't really care. Maybe I am a little bit. I don't have a problem with white immigrants coming in the country. This country was built by European immigrants. This country was ethnically 91% European until 1965. The problem we have in this country is not European immigrants. Nobody is saying, all these damn Swedes, all these damn German immigrants are coming in here ruining the country. No. We don't have too many. In fact, we actually would benefit from taking a couple more European immigrants, to be honest. So I'm not being hypocritical here. My problem is third world immigrants that don't assimilate. Nobody's saying the Germans don't assimilate or the Norwegian immigrants don't assimilate. The problem, to be clear, is not immigration per se. The problem is immigration from third world culturally incompatible countries. That is the problem. I try to be crystal clear. I'm not like hiding my position on this. You know, of course, when we take in European immigrants, of course, they must be vetted. That is to say, though, really, European immigrants are not the problem. It's immigrants from the third world. Just to be very clear, mask off. I'll let you guys know kind of what my personal prerogative here is. This seems like obvious to me, but there you have it. That's my opinion. If you want to marry a Swedish woman, bring her on in. We could probably use some more Swedish people coming over. That's how I feel. That's my opinion. Okay, anyway, so thank you very much, Leon Smith. We have another massive super chat from Q, another $100 super chat. He says, I could not help myself. Enjoy, Matt. Q is just going crazy. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And also good evening. And once again, Merry Christmas. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Massive support. Massive support. 1960. This is from Axel. He says, 1965, doesn't that sound familiar? Paul Harvey, if I were the devil, sound familiar? I haven't done my research on, but if I wonder what, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying there, to be honest. I don't get the reference, but here's what I will tell you. 1965 is when we overturned our previous immigration policy. We crafted a new immigration policy in accordance with the Hart-Celler Act. Like I said, up until 1965, we had about 180 years of American history in which this country was 90% ethnically European. When we say that this country was built by immigrants, you kind of have to ask the following question: immigrants from where? It wasn't immigrants from all over the world. It was immigrants exclusively from Europe, namely Western Europe. This country was not, in fact, built by immigrants from Somalia or India or the Congo or whatever. This country was built, and we have the demographic information. It was built by Europeans. This is a European nation, and I think this country would be better if we kind of brought back those demographics. I think the country would be better if this country was 90% ethnically European. That is, in fact, I'm just going to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I really support President Trump, because we have too many immigrants from the third world. They're coming in, they're not really making the country better, to be honest with you. You kind of can't help but notice as the country becomes less ethnically European and more ethnically third world, the country just kind of keeps on getting worse. You kind of can't help but notice that. So that's one of the reasons why I support Trump. Honestly, I'm not even going to lie about it. You can call me whatever terrible name you want, but you can't call me dishonest. At least I'm being honest. Anyway, thank you very much, Axel. Tim says gun violence is highest in the blue states. I wonder why. Well, once again, it's like 93% of gun violence in this entire country is committed by young black men. Let's just be honest. You look at the FBI crime stats. It is at about a rate of 93%. Our firearm homicide rate is young black men in highly dense urban areas. That is just the truth. We don't have gun crime like in the countryside. Doesn't really happen. In fact, actually, this is going to blow some of your minds. If we adjust out urban black gun crime in this country, the United States of America actually has a gun violence rate of many European countries. European countries where you can't even legally own a gun. This is the fact of the matter. So we don't really have a gun violence issue in America as much as we have an African American urban. It's generally gang related. That is really the big problem that we have. That's honest to God. You look at the stats, and that's what the stats say. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. This is Survivor. He says, lol, I don't want to say permanent because that's optimistic, but in what's a woman cheerfully saying they're almost gone. Yeah, we got to do that. Thank you, Survivor. I appreciate that. This is Mary Beek. She says they are using the dead voters to register for SNAP, not to mention Social Security, just a couple of ways to scam the system. I mean, yeah, this happens all the time where you'll have somebody living with their old grandma or parent or whatever. The parent will pass away. The grandma will pass away. And then whoever else is in the household will continue receiving Social Security. They'll say, no, grandma's still alive. No, keep on sending those Social Security benefits or keep on sending the SNAP benefits. Federal government recently discovered 186,000 cases of people double dipping on SNAP. 186,000 double dip SNAP recipients collecting recipients for somebody that they shouldn't be. This is it's a problem. It is a problem. It doesn't work. If we've got too many takers, we got people double dipping. It's a problem. The systems sort of start to fall apart. Then we have a final super chat here from David Haft. David Haft says Republicans in California are fighting the results of Prop 50 in court. That is an ongoing legal battle. I will tell you something. It is possible that Prop 50 gets overturned. I'm not exactly holding my breath. It is possible that Prop 50 in California gets overturned and the Democrats do not end up getting those 5 seats in the House. The Republicans retain those 5 seats in the House. That would be bad news for the Democrats. That would be good news for the Republicans and bad news for the Democrats. And we are eagerly awaiting the day. We have a super chat here from Dude's Detail. Dude's Detail, he says in YouTube super chat, he says, as a local Idaho fan, I'm proud of you and appreciate your work, brother. Thank you and God bless. Man, I got to say, ever since I have moved up here to Idaho, honestly, I didn't even know that places like this existed. Let me try to explain what I mean by this. I have spent my entire life, I spent the first 25 years of my life living in the Portland, Oregon area, and then I spent another 5 years living in Western Washington. Western Washington, Portland, Oregon area. This is where I was raised. This is where I've lived my entire life. I went to school. I did it all. I had my 2 children. I got married in this area. And So I recently moved to Idaho, and I had no idea that places could be this nice. Can you imagine this? Guess what? In Idaho, they don't have fentanyl zombies walking around. They don't have all of this, like, they don't have homeless camps on the side of the road or heroin, fentanyl needles, you know, on the sidewalk. You're like stepping over needles as you're walking around downtown. It's like there's like almost no crime. It's crazy. It's like, I don't know, it's paradise. I mean, actually, what I really mean is Idaho is terrible. Idaho is terrible, and nobody else should move here. Do not move here. Do not move here. It's terrible. Everybody's racist. Everybody's super racist, and it's terrible. And don't even worry about it. Never come up here. Never go to Idaho. Don't even think about it. No, thank you. I appreciate that, dude's detail. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to be a wrap for today's show. This was another great show. We had the triple whammy. Good news, good news, good news. And so, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you are new to the broadcast, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow. We are on Twitch. We're throwing Twitch into the mix. I think this was successful. Twitchers, seems good. We're on Rumble, of course. Make sure to follow on Rumble. Make sure to like today's broadcast on YouTube and subscribe and do it all. Helps a lot, means a lot. And we will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place, same places, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Western. And every single day we're hitting it hard. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it a ton. Until I see you next tomorrow, everybody, God bless and stay safe. And I'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much.